Hey guys, today we're going to be going over some importing. We've recently updated it, so I thought I'd update this Copilot University video. So this is before we've actually made the visual updates to like the buttons and stuff, but we have made an update where you can import customers and properties at the same time, which saves a lot of time. So let's take a look at how we recommend doing it. So right now we have a sample CSV file that you can download, and then you can map all your information to, or you can import your information into that file, and then you can actually map it. But we actually are going to be providing a new sample file, one that's a lot better, and I'll walk through it here. So the new file that we're taking a look at, we have whipped this up to be a lot easier to understand. So we have our typical customer name, first name, last name, type, phone numbers, email, billing street. But then we also added this thing called match. So I'll kind of walk through it. So customer name, this is actually looking for any duplicates in the system. So if we have a person named John Doe, and we have Jane Doe, and then let's say our file has another John Doe, it will actually tag it as green, letting you know that there is a customer with the exact same name. So letting you know that you might want to take action on that. And so that's one of the filters that we use here. But then we also have this match filter, which we have it set to saying true right now. So what does that mean? This will actually take a look at the billing street and the service street. So this is especially nice out of Service Autopilot. If you put in your billing address and then your service address, it will take a look and see if they're exactly the same. So let's say our address is 123 Sesame Street. And this is, let's say, 321 Sesame Street. They don't match. And so you don't need to take a look at that. But if you have that, it still says true because they're exactly the same. And you can end up filtering it by saying only false. And you can filter it by saying only true. Or you can see it for both for the purpose of editing it. So let's take this away. We'll kind of take a look here. Everything's ready. So you just put in your billing address and your service address, phone numbers, and everything's good to go. So billing and then service. I believe we actually had the phone number. We need to take that away. All right. And then we also, at the very bottom here, we have 3 tabs. This is the raw CSV that we're working with. And then we also set it up to where you can copy and paste customers with the same billing address as their service address, and any customers whose billing address is different from the service address that you guys actually are going to. So we can take a look here. I downloaded a sample file from Yardbook and edited it a little bit. So this is more like something you'd get out of your CRM, but there's only about 7 people here, but that's good enough for the test. So we'll go ahead and we'll work on really what we would do here at Copilot. So we would just copy these fields, and then just for the sake of making it neat, we'd probably add a sheet and say this is our Yardbook file. And then we'd end up pasting that information, which, there we go. Copy, paste. Nice. Awesome. So we'll kind of work here. I can close out our secondary tab. So I'll start with our customer names. So we can see that the business names populated here, and then contact first and last names over there. So typically you'd put in the business name or the customer name that you want here. So we would copy this file, or copy this column, go over here to the new one, and we would paste it here. And it puts in the header from your previous one here, that's fine. We'll deal with that afterwards. So your customer should start on 4, or really 3, but we have moved around some columns, so it just says 4, which is fine for now. And then we will go to take the first name and paste in here. We're kind of going to work in order here just to make it neat. I skipped title because I don't think there is title on this form, which is fine, so we can just skip that. And then last name. Customer type. I don't believe that there is a customer type in this file, but what I would recommend is if you want it to show up in your customer count, put down customer. The autofilled to customer type. So we can see, there we go. And I would just drag this down to the bottom of your customer list. And then you can put it as, I believe it is case specific where it needs to be leads, if it is a lead, to show up in that lead tab. But customer will do for now. Email address. Now, a lot of the times, it might be give you something like this. Where it gives you 2 email addresses in one field. We cannot take this. This is the most common point of error when users import their CSV files, is that there is multiple emails per one column. Now what you can do is you can transfer all those emails over, and then you can click the column. And if you know the way that your file is, that it separates it between a comma, sometimes it can be a semicolon. We'll do semicolon for now. You can click this. I'm using Google Sheets here. You can click the column, click data, and split text to columns. And click semicolon, and it automatically separates that. And then here's what you would do. You'd put it as a CC email 1, so on and so forth. It will split it to multiple columns. If it creates multiple columns, you can do up to 4 emails. Your primary email, CC email 1, 2, and 3. We can't do any more than that. So hopefully your customer doesn't have more than 4 email addresses on file with you. They might have to let one go, or map it to a custom field if needed. Before we go any further with this, I'd like to give you guys the code that we're using to get these filters to work. So the first one would be on the column A, we have the customer name. And if you go to data, no, it's format. Yes, format, conditional formatting. We have a rule here, and I'll paste this in the description below for finding out the duplicates on the customer name. So basically what this does, it's saying to format it as green to make it count if our A2, so starting with 2, but we're actually going to want to move this to 3 or 4 because our first is starting on 4. And then it goes all the way to, actually no, we want to do this with A2 because when we end up deleting this, it'll go down to 2. So starting from our first, which would be here, once we get that row deleted, all the way down to the bottom, right? But we see the bottom would be 15. So we can make this down and say, let's just go all the way down to 15, or all the way to 12, because that's a little more precise. Starting at A2 again. So you can just paste this in and change the letter to whatever column you would like it to be. And then this number is what your names start at, and this number is what your names end at. And then you click done. So that is for customer name. And then if we move to the match column, we can see if we go to one of these cells here, we have this, which marks it as true. If the, which I moved some stuff around Let me get to billing. Oh, I accidentally deleted the wrong column earlier, which I have to put one column to the right. Billing street 1. There we go. So now it will be H. So we'll move this around. So it'll say or, and then it will say like G2 or I2, right? It'll say letter number equals letter number. So letter number, it would be, if we have billing street on the left, we want this to be H2, and you'll see it highlights it orange. And then we want the purple to be service street, so this I2. So we'll move this back here and say H2, and then I2 again. So that's all good. And I will actually click and drag, and this would be a good command for you guys to know, especially if you're working with thousands, is we would want to copy this content and click Shift Control down arrow and click paste. And that will automatically map it to go all the way down. Now for us, we don't really need to go all the way down. We really only need to go here. So I'll just shift delete. And then we'll keep mapping. So those are the two, and we'll post those codes down below so that you guys can put that in. So for customer name, we'll do a review. For customer name, we go to format, conditional formatting, and you won't see this here, so you click add another rule, and under format cells if, you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then if I move my camera here, all the way down to the bottom, it will say custom formula is, and that's where you put in the formula, and you apply to your start to your end. So you can click cancel because we already have that in there. So I'll continue going through the mapping of stuff here. So we'll go back to our Yardbook file to get our billing address. And I will get our service address. So we can see here that we have a couple false and a couple true. So this one doesn't really matter at the moment because it's just our headers, but our false one is 6554 Row and 987 Sesame Street. So we'll see that those are false, which means that we're going to have to do a separate import for that one, all the ones that say false. So we can do here is then move on. We don't have billing street or street 2 for billing or service, so we can skip that. So I'll go back to our Yardbook file. So service city. This is where I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, so I'm just going to match them all up. Service city, service zip, which would be service postal code. And then just for the look of it, we'll put it on that side. And then service country is all fine because that would just be USA. And then we can take this down. There. Oop, one too much. And we can actually just copy this and put it in our billing country as well. And we'll keep going around. Billing city. And billing zip code. And billing state. And now it's also the same as the service state. So really, we can delete any unnecessary fields. So we don't need this field, and we don't need the billing street too. So we can delete those selected columns. That is where that throwed this off. So if you do that, you want to make sure that your codes are still right. H2, I2. Make sure these formulas are looking at the right columns still. And then mobile phone, other phones, and fax. So we can take a look here at our phone numbers. See, mobile phone numbers, there's nothing in, but we can go there. Phone numbers. And any fax numbers we can put in here as well. All right, so that all looks good. Our file looks completely transferred over. I'm going to leave this because if I delete this, it'll move those fields. We can just skip that during import. So for these, since usually you have a customer name, I'm going to just fill this with the first and last name. You won't usually have to do this. Because, like I said, when you're exporting all your actual information, it will usually have all this. Oh, where did I get off? Oh. And then this is Vernon Moen. All right, so that all looks good. So what we can do now is we can use our filters. So like, let's say we had to Laureen Gerlach. Make sure our filter is set correctly by going to column A, format, conditional formatting, and we'll take a look here. All right, let's take a look at why this, oh, right here. All right, so, okay, apply to A2 to A5. This would be 15 is what we wanted it to apply to. There we go. That was the error that was sorting it out. So it sees that there's two Laureen Gerlachs. So let's say it's demo Laureen Gerlach. All right, so now we can use our filters to see if we need to change anything. So first off, we would take a look here. Pulling up my notes. So first thing we need to do is make sure that there's no special characters in this file before we continue any further. Special characters would be anything like a comma or an apostrophe. So one of these or one of these. Seems to not, oh, apostrophe is just hidden there for some reason. So an apostrophe or a comma will throw the system off because we're using a comma separated values file. So if there's a comma, it will actually split into another cell. It'll act weird and it will not import correctly. So you want to make sure that there's no commas and you want to make sure there's no apostrophes really. So like for this, it would just be easiest anyways to go through and clean this up to say we don't really need the first name and last name to look like that. And then we can copy and paste as well. Now, technically, okay, I kind of, it's true for some CSV files and it's not true for the other. You technically can add a comma for like the customer names and such when we're importing. So you could do those last and first, but it really just, that would be like a halfway there import if you were to do it like that. If you really wanted it to be, instead of Maribel Hartman and your system puts it as Hartman Maribel, I believe that would work, but I wouldn't count on it. I think we usually just like to do the combined first and last name. Yes. So we'll take a look, make sure emails are just the one that usually throws the system off, and then everything else looks good. All of the phone numbers look good. Okay, so now what we can do is we delete this row and make sure. So we will first try to filter out the customers with the billing that's the same as the service address. So that would be everybody who is not, service. So anyone who's not false here. So I accidentally re-enabled that. So delete that row and move over here. So we have true, 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 false, true. So this is really easy because we only have like 7. We technically could just copy this row, move it over. But we're going to use our filters because a lot of the time you're going to have hundreds to thousands of customers. So we can actually see only ones that are true. They do match. So here's all of our customers that match. So we can actually copy all of these rows, or we can actually copy the entire and control copy, move over to customers with billing equal service, and we can paste here. Oh, that didn't work. There we go. So here's our headings, and I'll just make this bold so it's easier to tell. So these are all the people whose billing equal to service. And we will take a look here at customers whose billing does not equal to service. So we'll get those two separated. So now we go back here, we go to our match column, and we filter by only false, which would be this customer right here. So we copy, actually we'll copy this entire thing, and we'll say customer whose billing does not equal, because we have 6554 Roche Squares and 987 Sesame Street. So we'll go to customers whose billing doesn't equal, and we will paste that here and bold. So now we'll undo, and we'll take a look and see our match to make sure we take a look at everything, if we're missing anything. I think I accidentally deleted the Lauren Gerlach, but if you have customers where their billing is the exact same as their service address and there are duplicates, like there's 2 Maribel Hartman, so if you were to do something like this, if this was what you copied over and it was green, you'd want to delete one because all the information is exactly the same. Because like in Service Autopilot, I think Jobber is the one that does this mostly, is it will actually create multiple of the same customer, and the only thing different will be the billing or the service address. So if you copy it over and these are exactly the same, you're going to want to delete that second customer because we don't want to create duplicates. So now we filter out all the duplicates, and we made sure these people need to have properties created that are the same as their billing address. So everything else here is good. So what we can do is we can take this sheet and we can save it. So I'll download it as a CSV file. So I will stop here on our file work, and I'll go back to our Copilot account, go to CSV imports, and we'll click select file to import. Now we'll find the file that I just downloaded, which I need to figure out the name of, customer import template to service. So I'll scroll down here, and this was downloaded today. Okay, so now we have 2 things that we need to do. We need to make sure this settings is correct, and we need to make sure the mapping is correct also. So since we're creating properties for the customer's billing address, we are going to create properties for each customer from the billing address. And then we are going to choose not to create duplicate names. We don't really need to do that since we have the filter up. But okay, so this actually is if they already exist with the same name in Copilot. So if I already have a Hannah Jenkins in Copilot, I can check to not duplicate them. And I can check to filter if I have someone with that email address already, I can choose not to create them. So that would be for your discretion. So then what we would do here is we need to start mapping. So you would actually choose customer name. We'd skip the title because we're not actually importing anything from the title. And we just keep on moving. So customer first name, customer last name, customer type, email address. We'll keep going. CC email, since we have one. Billing Street 1. So this would be Billing Street 1. And then now we got Service Street 1. So you just follow along. So we call it Property Street 1. And then we have match. We're actually not gonna map that because that's just for our internal use. So this is the billing city, billing state, billing postal code, billing country. We don't have mobile phones, but you'll be mapping this to mobile. Number is different. So phone number and number are separate things because customer number is what number means. So it'll assign it an ID, which the Yardbook file gave us an ID, but we don't want to import that just because it doesn't match the numbering scheme we might have, or we just want Copilot to give them different numbers. So make sure you click mobile for mobile phones. Other phones, this would just be phone. Fax. Where's our fax? And then now we have property city, property state. Nearing the end here. Property postal code and a property country. Now you can see we have a lot more options here, like for allowing for emails, phone calls, text messages, and we can import a whole bunch of custom fields as well, which I'll go into after we choose this. Like we have test import 1. So property country. So this is all good. We made sure our CSV file looks correct. So when we go over here and we click the Start Import button, 4 new customers were added. You can view them in the customers page. So now we have to import everyone whose billing does not equal the service. So let me go back here and we'll click customers whose billing doesn't equal the service. And let's say for this one, we actually want to take a custom field. So like, let's say I want to take, what would be a good one from the Yardbook file? Payment term. So like, let's say this customer wants to be on a net 30. We can take that custom field with us, even though we don't natively import it. So this would be payment term. And then I like to just mark it as custom field. And then this is net 30. So what we need to do to take custom fields in Copilot is we need to go back to Copilot, go to Resources, Custom Fields, and we need to click the New Field button. Now, when we import custom fields, we need to import them to a custom field that is tied to a customer. So you need to click Customers, and then the field name for this one we would call Payment Term, and we can click Enter. So it saved the field. So we can take a look here, and we have Payment Term for our customers. So now when we go back down to CSV imports, we can assign it payment term here, and that will pop up in their customer profile as a custom field. So we can export this one as well, this file, and download as a CSV file. Billing doesn't equal CSV. Awesome. So import customers, select our file, and download this. So that's the same thing, except because we have different addresses for the billing and the service, we're going to create 2 properties for each, the billing and the property address. So that'll create one for each address. And we do not want to, these boxes are fine since we already took these and got them covered. So we can go through with mapping. You'd map this just like normal, and at the very end you'd see on the payment term that we have now a payment term that you can map it to, and it will show up in their customer profile. So that's how you map all these different customers. But like, let's say for some reason, we want to create, or let's say our file that we downloaded has 2 of these people here, and they have multiple different addresses. So we have 102 Sesame Street. So this person has the same billing address, but they have multiple properties. We can go ahead and we can import like so. So I'm actually going to re-download this. And I'm going to go ahead and walk through how we merge these together. So for here, we create 2 properties for each customer using both billing address and the property address. So there's 2 ways that you could do this. You could add a third Monin McLaughlin Labadie, and you could have the billing the same as the service, and then you don't need to do the following step that we're going to do. Or you can just do what I do. So it creates 2 properties for each customer, and then we'd go ahead and we would map customer name and then first name. And I'll actually skip till I have all of this mapped so you don't have to watch. Okay, so now we imported our 2 customers and we have all of their fields mapped that they need. So we make sure before we import, we want to create 2 properties for each customer, use both billing and the property address. And we don't really need to do this because we set it up in our file, but always make sure for that. So now we can start our import, and 2 new customers are added. So we can go here and we'll take a look. We can see our customers. Let's take a look here. MOEN. Awesome. So we can take a look here and we can see that they have property 1 and property 2. One's for billing and one's for service. And we can see that the custom field came through of payment term, net 30. So now we take a look here. We go to customers and we go to properties. Now, I believe you have to search for the property name, but let's see. So we have 4 properties now. We can actually go ahead and delete 2 of them, which would be the billing addresses. So we have 6554, which are billing addresses. So we can go ahead and we can delete. Are you sure you want to delete the selected properties? Yes, because their billing for us isn't where we're going to be servicing them. So now we have the 2 properties for 2 different customers. So what we can do is we can go to the customer that has the correct information, which in this case is either or. But I'm going to say that 987 Sesame Street, since they were the first one, is the correct customer. So we can actually transfer ownership and delete the customers. So I can check this box, transfer ownership. And so which customer would we like to transfer the ownership? So we would go to MOEN, and we would transfer the ownership and delete the previous customer associated with the property. Would I like to continue? Yes. So then, when it refreshes, oh, funny, because I actually chose the wrong one. So, in this case, oh, maybe when I refreshed. Oh, no, this is correct. I was correct. So when you click this customer, they have 2 properties, and one of them is for 102 Sesame Street. So we'll call this property name 102. Oh, didn't really like me clicking and dragging there. So we call this 102 Sesame. We'll go back to our customer. And so now we can see we have 102 Sesame, and this one should be the 987 Sesame. All right. So now when we go to our Moni McLaughlin library, we go to their properties and we can see 102 Sesame and 987 Sesame. So we merged the two customers together to have just a one customer with all the properties instead of having two customers for the same person. So that is how you merge in multiple customers into one to have multiple properties under one customer. This is a huge improvement from the steps that we had previously. So if you need any help with your import, if you have questions about the steps, you can always reach out to ATC and we can let you know how you can take the next steps to format your CSV file. Yeah, hopefully this was an upgrade for you. And hopefully that this works good for you guys in the future. So make sure to check the description below for the sample file and the code. And we'll also be updating our CSV imports tab shortly here as well. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.